What made the Great Fire of London so deadly? Now, before I get into this video properly, I want to show you something. Okay, so you may have already seen this image before, but look at how far the fire spread in just those 4 days. That's quite scary, right? Well, if you want to know what made the Great Fire of London so deadly, then keep watching. So, welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be asking the question, what made the Great Fire of London so deadly? Now, to answer this question, we have to go back to July 1666. So, London in the mid-17th century was a disaster waiting to happen. The city was densely populated and was made up of mostly wood and thatch houses. On top of this, London was a tinderbox just waiting for a match, and the material that people used to construct their houses was a large contributing factor towards the rapid spread of the fire. In the 17th century, most houses were made out of timber, either because most people were poor or they couldn't really afford better materials. But the problem with using timber was that, well, timber is very flammable. In addition to this, the citizens of London had little knowledge of basic fire safety, and so when a fire did break out, they would panic, and this only made things worse. Another reason why the fire spread so rapidly was because of the narrow streets of London. These narrow streets meant that there was only one way in and one way out, and this made it easier for the fire to spread. It also meant that it was harder for firefighters to control the blaze, because they could only approach the fire from one side. To make matters worse, most of London's 17th century buildings were very close to each other. There were very few open spaces where firefighters could set up their pumps without fear of spreading the fire. In addition to this, these narrow streets meant that it was hard for people to escape the city. So, when the fire did spread, it spread very quickly. People were trapped within the city and they couldn't escape. On top of all of this, London's fire brigade wasn't very well equipped. They didn't have any proper equipment to fight the fire, and so they struggled to get the blaze under control. Most of the firefighters were volunteers, and so when the fire broke out, they didn't always turn up. Also, even if they did turn up, they weren't very well trained. To make matters worse, Londoners didn't have a fire insurance scheme, and so no one was really that bothered about controlling the fire. If their house burnt down, they wouldn't be able to claim for it. But the biggest reason why the Great Fire of London was so deadly was because of the hot summer London experienced in 1666. So, as well as being densely populated and made out of wood, London in 1666 was extremely hot. There was a heat wave in July, and it reached around 30 degrees Celsius, which for London in the 17th century was extremely hot. This hot weather meant that the roofs were very dry and very flammable. It also meant that people were careless with things like fireplaces and ovens, and this is thought to be the cause of the fire. Whatever the exact cause was, we don't know, but we do know that hot weather played a big part in the rapid spread of the blaze. In conclusion, the Great Fire of London was so deadly because of a combination of factors. The hot weather made the city very flammable, and the heat also made people very careless. On top of this, London's housing conditions were terrible, and the fire spread very easily through the timber houses. The narrow streets also meant that the fire spread very quickly, and it was hard for firefighters to get to the blaze. Now, I want to ask you a question. What surprised you the most about the Great Fire of London? Did you know that it spread so quickly or that the houses were so close together? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about the Great Fire of London, then I recommend reading a book called The Great Fire by Lisa. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.